I eat.
My name is Eleanor Mae Whitfield. I was born on a Tuesday in March 1935 in a small white wooden house in Asheville, North Carolina. I know this because I was told, because I no longer remember being alive. Let me explain what I feel, although I'm not sure feel is the right word for someone who no longer exists. People think that being dead means feeling nothing. They are wrong. I feel everything, but as if from a distance, as if I were the ghost in my own house. I walk down the hallway and I see the photos on the wall. There I am, young, laughing, with black hair, and I think, that woman is already dead. I am what was left behind. It all began on a Thursday in October. I know because my daughter Dorothy told me afterward. In that voice one uses when speaking to someone who has been broken from the inside. That Thursday I woke up, or at least that is what they say I did, and I looked at my hands resting on the blue blanket that Margaret, my oldest granddaughter, knitted for me years ago. I looked at them for a long time. There was nothing beating in them. There was no warmth. There was no pulse I could recognize as my own. I got up, went to the hallway, bathroom, the same bathroom, with the silver handle that Thomas, my husband, installed in 1971, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I saw no one. I mean that literally. I saw a reflection, yes. I saw the white hair. I saw the wrinkles that time drew like rivers across my face, but I did not see Eleanor. I saw the shell of someone who had once been here, an empty suit, a coat hanging on the rack of existence, waiting for someone to claim it. I went downstairs and told Dorothy with perfect calm, "Honey, I think I'm dead." She dropped her coffee cup. Before I tell you how this ends, let me tell you how it began. Because a life of 90 years is not just a number. It is a cathedral built brick by brick, with cracks and stained glass windows and some walls that never quite finished rising. I grew up with 4 siblings in that white wooden house. My father, Harold Whitfield, worked at the Henderson sawmill and came home smelling of pine and honest sweat. My mother, Ruth, baked bread on Sundays and shared it with the neighbors, even when we ourselves didn't have enough to spare. That taught me the first lesson I carry to this day, though I'm no longer sure carry is something the dead can do. Generosity does not wait until you have more than enough. It is born exactly when you have the least. At 17, I met Thomas Elliott Whitfield at a summer fair in Weaverville. He was selling lemonade with his brother and had a smile that was basically a traffic accident for the heart. He spilled the lemonade on me and spent the rest of the afternoon apologizing. I forgave him on the first apology. I made him keep apologizing because I liked the way he looked when he was humble. We married in 1956. We had 3 children. Bobby, who died in Vietnam in 1969 and whom I never properly said goodbye to. Dorothy, who cares for me now with a patience that must come from some angel that slipped inside her body. And Charles, who lives in Portland and calls on Sundays, though sometimes he forgets that he calls. Thomas died in 1998. a heart attack, quick, the way he was about everything. I was dead in spirit for 5 years after that. For that reason, I realize now it was a different kind of death. That was a death one chooses without knowing one is choosing it. The doctors at Mission Hospital took weeks to tell Dorothy what I had. She told me that Dr. Alan Forsyth, a young man with thick-framed glasses and the face of someone who hadn't slept well since his residency, very carefully explained that I was suffering from something called Cotard's syndrome. I listened from the bed. I did not react. Those who believe they are dead do not react to diagnosis. Cotard's syndrome, Dorothy explained to me as if I were a small child, is when the brain loses its ability to connect the recognition of one's own emotions with the recognition of one's own body. It is as if the part of your mind that says, "This is me," stops sending signals. The result is an absolute, calm, terrifying certainty I no longer exist. My heart kept beating. My lungs kept breathing. My hands were still capable of holding a cup, but none of that evidence was enough to convince me. The brain, when it decides something, is the worst dictator there is. It does not allow appeals. The strange thing, the truly strange thing, is that I could hear that explanation and nod politely and still believe with all my soul that I was no longer here. It was not sadness. Sadness is something the living feel. It was absence. An absence so complete it had a shape of its own. One of the things nobody tells you about believing you are dead is that you begin to see those who truly are with greater clarity. Thomas would come and sit on the edge of my bed, not like a dramatic vision, not with lights or music. He came the way he always came home, unannounced, with the expression of a man who has had a long day but is glad to be back. Bobby appeared too. Bobby at 22, in his uniform that never got to grow old. He looked at me with those eyes he inherited from my father and said nothing. Those who have gone, I discovered, don't need to say much. They have already said everything, or they have already learned that words are a luxury for those who still breathe. One night, at what must have been 2 a.m, I asked Thomas, "Why did you take so long to come for me?" And he, with that logic of his that was always simpler than mine, answered in my mind, "Because it's not your turn yet, Ellie." I told him he was wrong. He shrugged the way he always did when I insisted on something he considered negotiable. My daughter Dorothy is 64 years old. She has Thomas's hair, my mother Ruth's hands, and a strength she herself does not know she has, because she uses it so naturally that it does not seem like effort. Every day she comes into my room at Blue Ridge Gardens. That is the name of the place where I live now, though I use the word live with reservations, and she brings me something. Sometimes it is a cup of chamomile tea. Sometimes it is an old photograph. One morning she brought a perfect red maple leaf she found in the parking lot and placed it in my hand without saying a word. I looked at it. The leaf had veins, just like a hand, just like a life story. I said, "Dorothy, I am dead." She said, "I know, Mom, but I can still bring you tea." That, my friend, is unconditional love. not the love that waits for you to be well before giving you something, the love that brings you tea even when you believe you are dead, the love that does not negotiate with the reality of the one it loves. Second lesson, the most important of all, true love does not require the other person to be in a condition to receive it well. It gives anyway. There was one afternoon, about 8 weeks after my brain decided I no longer existed, when Dorothy took me out in a wheelchair to the back garden of Blue Ridge Gardens. There were rose bushes, yellow roses that someone had planted many years ago and that no one remembered who. I did not want to go out. Those who believe they are dead do not need fresh air. But Dorothy insisted with an inherited stubbornness that I don't know where she got it from, because Thomas was flexible and I always gave in too soon. She sat me in front of the rose bushes. The October sun in North Carolina has a particular quality. It does not burn, it caresses. It is as if the October sun had learned manners over the years. And then something happened that I don't know how to explain without sounding crazier than they already think I am. A bee landed on the back of my hand. It did not sting me. It stayed there, still, as if resting, as if my hand were a safe place, and I felt it. Not the weight, which was almost nothing. I felt the contact, the minimal, real, unmistakable texture of something living coming to rest on something that was also perhaps still alive. I cried. I don't know why. Those who believe they are dead don't cry, but I cried. Dorothy said nothing. She took my hand slowly, so as not to startle the bee, and held it between hers. Those are the moments that build cathedrals, not the great words, not the spectacular gestures. A bee, a hand, the October sun. Today is Thursday. Or so Nurse Patricia told me, a woman from Georgia with a laugh that sounds like bells and who insists on placing a plastic sunflower on my nightstand because she says it brightens the room. My heart keeps beating. I check sometimes by placing my fingers on my chest, not because I feel it as my own, but because Dorothy asked me to. Feel that, Mom, she says. That is you. That is still you. I don't know whether I still believe I am dead. There are days when the certainty is absolute, crystalline, like cold water. And there are days like the one in the garden, like when Patricia laughs, like when Margaret, my granddaughter, reads aloud to me, where something inside me doubts. And doubt, I discovered at 90 years old, with a brain broken in a way doctors barely understand, is the closest thing to hope that exists. I tell you all of this because I want to leave you something. I don't know how much longer I'll be here, believing I don't exist while I do exist, but I do know this. A life is not measured by the years you accumulated. It is measured by the time something truly touched you and you let it in. Thomas touched me with his spilled lemonade. Bobby touched me with his silence as a young soldier. My mother Ruth's hand touched me as she broke bread when there was not enough. The October sun touched me, and a bee that did not know I believed I was dead. If someday you too feel that you are no longer here, if you look in the mirror and do not recognize the person living in your eyes, if the world seems made of glass and you seem made of mist, Stay close to someone who will bring you tea anyway. Go out to the garden even when you don't want to. Let a bee rest on your hand. Not because that will cure you, not because life is a pretty lesson with a tidy moral, but because there is a difference between not believing you are alive and stopping to let life find you. Life is very stubborn, more stubborn than I was, and I was quite stubborn. My heart is still here. My brain says otherwise. But Eleanor Mae Whitfield, 90 years old, born in Asheville on a Tuesday in March 1935, is still breathing. And while I breathe, I am still real, even if I don't believe it.